Good evening and many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV. We're broadcasting live from our studios on Caraba Avenue, and this is the news with me, Ansmane Sonyasi. Our headlines this evening: the National Assembly's Finance and Public Accounts Committee on Thursday presented its report to the plenary about the 2019 Anti-Corruption Bill, and some committees recommended tougher fines and punishments for corruption-related offences. The Gambia Investment and Export Promotion GAIPA, in partnership with Oakwood Green Africa and Afrexim Bank, on Wednesday launched the Gambia Roadshow initiative to empower African businesses and the banking communities. The Minister of Agriculture, Ami Fabure, has handed over harvest and post-harvest equipment to farmers to support the rice sector and boost productivity. In international news, Guinea-Bissau's government has confirmed that 11 people have died following a failed coup attempt on Tuesday. And in sports news, Senegal are through to an AFCON final for the third time after they defeated Burkina Faso 3-1 in Wednesday's semi-final in Cameroon. Stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. And we now take a look at the news in detail. The National Assembly's Finance and Public Accounts Committee on Thursday presented its report to the plenary about the 2019 Anti-Corruption Bill. Some of the committee's recommendations for amendments to the bill propose tougher fines and punishments for corruption-related offences. Mahmoud Lamin Choi reports.
The Fifth National Assembly convenes what is its final ordinary session ahead of a parliamentary election in April. Part of the first business for the Assembly is to attend to the much-anticipated 2019 bill, which seeks to tackle corruption in the Gambia. After its first and second reading, the bill was referred to the Finance and Public Accounts Committee, FPAC, for detailed scrutiny. The FPAC reports back to the plenary with recommendations for stiffer fines and punishments. The Vice Chair of the committee, Side Jata, presents the report.
32. Duty to report bribery transaction. A person who fails without reasonable excuse to comply with subsections 1 and 2 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to the confiscation of the proceeds of the crime and a fine of $50,000 or imprisonment of 1 year or to both. Recommendation: a fine of not less than $300,000 and not exceeding $1 million, or imprisonment for not less than 3 years and not exceeding 5 years, or to both.
Curbing corruption involves prevention of corrupt demands by persons, a necessity that is captured in the bill, with offences liable to incur a fine of $100,000, a 7-year jail term, or both. FPAC recommends tougher punishment and fines.
Recommendation: a fine of not less than $500,000 and not exceeding $2 million, or imprisonment for not less than 5 years or not exceeding 7 years, or to both.
The legislation discourages bribery attempts or offers to public officers, with penalties for offences amounting to a $100,000 fine, 7 years in jail, or both. The FPAC reports recommends a heftier fine and punishment.
Recommendation: a fine of not less than $300,000 and not exceeding $1 million, or imprisonment for not less than 3 years and not exceeding 5 years, or to both.
National Assembly members reacted to the report with a united voice against corruption and emphasis on the need for law enforcement and measures to solve the causes of corruption. Here is Usman Silla, now for Banjul North.
So this is my take on this bill, that we are doing this in the absence of salary increases. I don't want to name officers who are considered to be corrupt, but for me, they are compelled to do things to earn extra income to support their families.
This bill seeks to repeal the Gambia 2012 Anti-Corruption Act. For some of these names, This is an indication of the need for law reforms and more commitment to enforcement for a serious fight against corruption. Following the adoption of the report, the 2019 Anti-Corruption Bill will proceed for consideration by lawmakers. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Gambia Investment and Export Promotion GAIPA, in partnership with Oakwood Green Africa and Afreximbank, on Wednesday launched the Gambia Roadshow initiative to develop capacity and empower African businesses and the banking communities. Babu Garcia attended the event and he files in this report.
Day 2 of the program brought together small and medium business enterprises to introduce and discuss the products and services the International Bank has to offer. The joint initiative aims to develop capacity and empower Gambian businesses to start operating beyond our borders. Gabriel Edgar, managing partner of Oakwood Green Africa, said problems in Africa can only be solved by Africans. Thus, they are here to create solutions.
One of the things that we have always believed in is that it is only Africans that can transform Africa. So for those of us who have had the opportunity to work in several African countries, Oakwood Green Africa has worked in at least 20 to 25 African countries. We understand where there are surpluses and where there are deficits. And our job is to ensure that we move resources from areas of surplus to areas of deficit in Africa. This is our mandate and this is what we would achieve.
Eric Monchu Intong, Regional Chief Operating Officer, Afreximbank, said his bank not only offers financial support, it also guides businesses to the right path.
A lot of them don't understand what Afreximbank can provide. The financing solutions, advisory, and capital market, various guarantees. So the roadshow, the trade roadshow, is an opportunity to present to them what Afreximbank has, and then interact with them so that they can understand, guide them through on how they can apply to access this facility. Once they have the financial support that Afreximbank has, you will see they will begin to grow in their businesses, they will begin to create more jobs, they will begin to employ more people, they will begin to transform the economy. So this is a very, very important. That's why we did it at the beginning of the year, so that by the time 2022 is ending, a lot of financial institutions and corporates and SMEs would have benefited from the facilities of Afreximbank.
Participants Fatoumata Njai and Hadi Mcisse highlighted the importance of the event and believe it will pave the way for better business opportunities.
These type of initiatives does have an impact in our businesses because we are highlighted on the terms and the access to finance. So, and then we've gone through the conference and then we've learned various things on how to go about the trade between countries within Africa and worldwide.
This morning there has been a series of presentations. They did presentations with regards to opportunities for the private sector, businesses that are interested in trade financing. So this is a great opportunity with the upcoming of the Africa Free Trade. It is important for businesses like GHE to explore the potential markets, that is the African market. And to do that, it requires huge financing. And with Afreximbank and partners, this is something that can be realized.
The theme of the roadshow supporting the Africa Trade Agenda is in line with the advent of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, to which the Gambia is a signatory. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
The Minister of Agriculture, Ame Fabure, has handed over harvest and post-harvest equipment to farmers to support the rice sector and boost productivity. The presentation was held in Sapo Agricultural Complex in the Central River region. Bakari Balde reports.
The items presented were 11 mini combined harvesters, 44 power tillers, 11 land levelers, 11 reapers, 360 scale guns to deter hippos, and 455 metric tons of certified seeds. The beneficiaries are 3 private sector farms, 4 youth service centers, and 11 communities. Ami Fabure, the Minister of Agriculture, outlines her ministry's commitment and assured the beneficiaries of government support and further advised them to use the equipment wisely.
This government, under the able leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, through my own ministry, will continue to mobilize resources to support the agriculture sector, and it will never relent on its pursuit to attain rice self-sufficiency. inclusion, I strongly urge all the beneficiaries to maximally utilize this farm implement in a profitable and a sustainable manner.
Sam Mendy, the project officer in charge, explained the achievement of the rice value chain transformation project and the involvement of the private sector.
Project now achieves so much that the bank have even called on early midterm review so that to make sure that we look at lesson learned to private sector. Why private sector? We want rice production to be well developed.
Ibrahim Asise, the social development officer of the project, said the initiative aimed to boost rural livelihood and commercialization and contribute to poverty reduction through mechanized agriculture.
The project aims to boost rice production, increase production and productivity, agribusiness market, and capacity building. The project goal is to reduce the importation of rice in the Gambia.
The target groups for the project include farmers, processors, seed producers, input dealers, private sector operators, and commercial agents. On behalf of the beneficiaries, Numo Jallo from Nyani Rice Farmers Association and Zakaria So of Mira Farm had this to say.
Project ko nyim fanan nata na nyi itandi ko ibe nyin joral dila momola ita dile eldo ya tuibulu.
The project coordinators said they are not just giving us the materials, but will embark on monitoring and evaluation to check that we are using them for their intended purposes and in the right way. I will tell my fellow farmers that this is the first of its kind to have such support from what we have seen. I would like to thank the donors for their support.
Thank you very much. We will really use this equipment to maximize and to full efficient, not only for us, but we are going to support the smallholder farmers around us.
15,000 households will benefit from the project, out of which 40% are women and youths. In this regard, a fully furnished office complex is established to ease the works of the project officials. The Rice Value Chain Transformation Project under the Ministry of Agriculture is a 5-year project funded by the Africa Development Bank at the tune of $7.7 million. This initiative is part of government's National Development Plan 2018 to 2021. Reporting for QTV News, I am Bakari Balde.
And the report there by Bakari Balde will lead us to a short commercial break, but we will be right back.
The biggest mobile money service in the Gambia has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime. No need to queue at the bank anymore. Transfer funds from your bank account to your wallet or your wallet to your bank account using Q Money Bank Link is the fastest, most secure, and convenient way to transfer funds between your wallet and bank account. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunyu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q-Power. I am Q-Cell. I am Sunubus. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
Thanks for staying with us. Be reminded you're watching QTV News and we're broadcasting live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Ansmane Sonyasi. Now, the Elections Watch Committee organized a forum to discuss matters related to the post-presidential election 2021 and give recommendations which it hopes will be adopted for the upcoming parliamentary election due in April. Ajibintu Drame tells us more.
At the forum, the EWC includes the Peace Ambassadors, the Gambia, Activista and the National Youth Parliament. The three organizations joined political party representatives and the IEC to reflect on the recently held presidential election and discuss recommendations on ways to strengthen and address loopholes in ensuring a smooth electoral process in preparation for the upcoming National Assembly election. Recommendations were specifically directly to the IEC, political parties and the security services. The recommendations included the need to upgrade election processes to respond to the changing electoral landscape to digitalizing the voters' register, avoiding tribal remarks and propagation of tribalism. Lastly, that security officers should be trained in appropriate response to election conflict.
Kadeba, Assistant Press Secretary, the Gambia Democratic Congress. People need to be well educated when it comes to election and election processes in this country. The civic education needs to do more on their work.
My name is Duduja, representing the APRC. If you have too many political parties and a lot of independent candidates, Banjul will disqualify a lot of aspirants to contest in the presidential election based on first come, first served basis. So I would urge the IEC to look into that mechanism.
Ms. Mary K. Baji, the press director for the Gambia Democratic Congress, GDC. I think it's important to have an official debate for all candidates so that the candidates will be scrutinized and the public will also familiarize themselves with those people who are aspiring for different positions.
Is Ali Sise, representing Citizen Alliance. It's been privileged to elderly people to vote or giving them a particular polling station, whereas if they just come, they can go straight and vote. Even though it will be something that could be seen otherwise, but I think it's also good to consider the elderly people because they are allocating a specific statistic for the disabilities, like the number of disabilities that are voting, because there are also people who matters a lot. We don't know. Usually, their first report sideline the disabilities, the number of disabilities who actually registered.
The registration of Gambians residing in the diaspora with respect to our election system, whether we're going to stay with the marble, which would cause too much inconvenience, logistics problem for IEC, leading to presumption of disqualification of candidates because they cannot afford the system of logistics that the marble requires.
Massive registration of success in terms of civic engagement. Even the NYP in itself conducted a 16-day nationwide tour where electorates were deeply involved in some of the things that they needed to know regarding elections. In terms of the civic engagement, it is never enough, it is never exhaustive. All of us could utilize our various platforms we have, either big or small.
Currently, the 53 members of the National Assembly consist of 48 members elected from single-member constituencies by first-past-the-post voting and 5 nominated members appointed by the President. It is hoped these recommendations by these stakeholders will be adopted to ensure free and fair elections. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
We now take a look at international news in a moment. Now, Guinea-Bissau's government has confirmed that 11 people have died following a failed coup attempt on Tuesday. The government says the dead included civilians, soldiers and security guards. This is the latest in a long line of coups and failed coups in the country. Nia Jao's report, he gives an update of the latest situation.
Since gaining independence from Portugal in 1974, Guinea-Bissau has experienced 4 coups d'etat and more than a dozen attempted coups. On Tuesday, the country awoke to another coup attempt as heavy gunfire was heard in the capital Bissau, near the presidential palace, where a cabinet meeting was being held, a Reuters reporter said. Afterwards, at a press conference, the government spokesperson Fernando Vaz said 11 people have died from the failed coup attempt, which he described as violent and barbaric. He, however, praised the defense forces who stopped the rebellion and said a thorough investigation regarding the matter is ongoing. He went on to say that the government of Guinea-Bissau has vowed to protect democracy and the rule of law. Guinea-Bissau, a small nation of around 1.5 million people, has long been known for corruption and served as a center for drug trafficking between Latin America and Europe, leading many to speculate that the coup was the work of drug gangs. Appearing in a video posted on the Guinea-Bissau presidency's Facebook page, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, the president of Guinea-Bissau, said attackers had tried to enter the compound just after the cabinet meeting started, but were repelled by the defense forces. It wasn't just a coup. It was an attempt to kill the president, the prime minister, and all the cabinet, he said. According to a CNN report, President Embalo revealed that defense forces were engaged in crossfire with the alleged perpetrators for 5 hours before averting the coup. Despite its history of instability, the president's statement implied it took him by surprise. I have never imagined that we would arrive to this type of situation. I never thought that Bissau Guineans could practice another form of violence, the president added. In a statement, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, condemned the coup attempt and holds the military responsible for the bodily integrity of President Umaru Sissoco Embalo and the members of his government. Guinea-Bissau is one of the West African countries with a long history of military takeovers, but it had returned to democratic rule in the last 2 years, after Mr. Embalo was declared winner of the bitterly congested December 2019 round of vote, which results were contested by his opponent, Domingos Simoes Pereira. West Africa has seen a spate of coups since August 2020, with military juntas grabbing power in Mali, Guinea-Conakry and Burkina Faso of recent. And despite international pressure for a return to constitutional rule, none of the military rulers have yet to organize new elections. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
We will now take a look at sports news. Now, our neighbors Senegal are through to an AFCON final for the 3rd time after defeating Burkina Faso 3-1 in Wednesday's semi-final in Cameroon. Our sports reporter Mamoudou Gajaga watched the game and he now reports.
A Sadio Mane goal sealed victory for the Teranga Lions against the Stallions of Burkina Faso. Both teams showed strength in attack and midfield and were strong at the back in the first half. Senegal had 2 penalty appeals, which following VAR checks were torn down. In one incident, Burkina Faso keeper Harvey Kofi was injured when he came off to punch the ball over Sekou Kouyate's head. He fell awkwardly and Kouyaté fell on top of him. After a review of the incident, Ethiopian referee Teshema said no penalty. It was an eventful second half where 4 goals were scored when it looked like another game that could go into extra time. Abdou Diallo put the Lions ahead in the 70th minute before a goal initially credited to and claimed by Idrissa Gana Gueye, then officially corrected to Sheikh Amadou Bamba Dieng, doubled their lead. Burkina Faso reacted quickly after conceding the second goal with an inspired Bertrand Traoré run before laying a pass to Touré, who scored to reduce the deficit. Sadio Mane ensured Senegal's spot in the final with a driving run before chipping the ball over the keeper to make it 3-1 for the Lions. Senegal reached 2 previous AFCON finals, losing both. In 2002, they lost to Cameroon in Mali. 3 years ago, they lost to Algeria 1-0. Can coach Aliou Cissé and his Teranga Lions break the jinx this time? Mamoudou Gajaga, QTV News.
We're wishing them all the best of luck in the finals, and I'm afraid that is all we have for you in this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap for main headlines. The National Assembly's Finance and Public Accounts Committee on Thursday presented its report to the plenary about the 2019 Anti-Corruption Bill, and some committees recommended tougher fines and punishments for corruption-related offences. The Gambia Investment and Export Promotion GAIPA, in partnership with Oakwood Green Africa and Afrexim Bank, on Wednesday launched the Gambia Roadshow initiative to empower African businesses and the banking communities. The Minister of Agriculture, Ame Fabure, has handed over harvest and post-harvest equipment to farmers to support the rice sector and boost productivity. In international news, Guinea-Bissau's government has confirmed that 11 people have died, including civilian soldiers and security guards, following a failed coup attempt on Tuesday. And in sports news, Senegal are through to an AFCON final for the third time after they defeated Burkina Faso 3-1 in Wednesday's semi-final in Cameroon. Well, that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Do join us at 10 p.m. for more news. Until then, thanks for watching.